Hello everyone, I'm very glad that you listened to my story. Please give me a follow and like the video if you enjoyed it. Feel free to comment and provide feedback so I can improve the sound quality. Chapter 20. There was an uproar in Satisfy. Famous guilds were in motion to find the mysterious blacksmith. In various media and the internet, the epic-rated arrows appeared as a hot issue. Who was the craftsman with great skills and potential but lacking experience and reputation? Many people were searching for the blacksmith's whereabouts. It is a harder path than others. I always did my best. Nonetheless, there is a better blacksmith than me. Panmir had only experienced making an epic-rated item twice. He had the title of the first epic-rated item maker. However, there was no mention of craftsman in his epic item description. Who was the person given the title of craftsman, which wasn't even allowed for the number 1 ranking blacksmith? Panmir was spurred by a sense of competitiveness towards the unknown blacksmith. Meanwhile, Shin Young-woo, the person who was receiving everyone's attention, was eating cup noodles at a convenience store before going to work. What a jerk, charging 1,001 for a cup of noodles. Does he want people like me to starve to death? Sigh, people really can't live without acting dirty. I grumbled as I ate. 5:30 a.m. It might be Sunday, but the Office of Labor was always busy. The days when students came on a daily basis to find work had disappeared. These days, young people turned away from labor jobs. Foreign workers had long taken over, making the future of South Korea seem bleak. I have a headache. I still hadn't adapted to the smell of cigarettes and alcohol early in the morning. I want to finish the work quickly so I can go home and rest. As I sat there, a young man in a construction worker's uniform cried out. Looking for 4 workers for the Shinwo building's construction site. Construction site workers did things like clean, move bricks and wood, and shovel sand. The physical labor was harsh, and I would eat a lot of dirt, but I had done it often. Therefore, I didn't hesitate to raise my hand. Here. Over here, cough. An alcohol drinker or heavy smoker punched me in the belly. I was pushed into a corner and missed the chance to be employed by the construction site. Those guys are heartless. You should send the pitiful young people first. While I was complaining with irritation, a middle-aged man in a short-sleeved shirt spoke. I need 3 tilers with strength. You should have experience. A tiles assistant would follow the main tiler and assist in the transfer of materials such as tiles, cement, and sand. It was annoying to carry the tiles if I met a bad tiler and I had to be careful not to break the tiles, but it was decent work. I raised my hand. Here. I have carried tiles more than 10 times. Ugh. I was once again pushed back into a corner by the older men and lost the chance to be hired because there were 3 people more experienced than me. Anyone else? Here. I do. Ack. There were several companies looking for laborers, but I wasn't hired due to the continuous interference. Ah, you. You will regret not seeing my value. The older men in the workforce were hindering me. It seemed that they didn't like me snatching away their spots. Who could come here because they like it? Don't you think I want to work part-time like other young people? I'm making a living just like you. Let me get something as well. The mere sight of them was enough to make me angry, like seeing a barking dog. However, my opponents were adults. So, I couldn't say anything bad and sat down again. Kukuk. The chief, who had been reading his newspaper on his desk, looked at me. Was he around his early 30s? He was a person who inherited this office from his father. For every 10 times I came here looking for a job, I'd gone home 3 times in vain. The chief was watching me when another person arrived. Who can do electric pulling work? No experience is needed. I will pay 110,000 won a day, so come quickly. It was 20,000 won more than the usual pay. However, I didn't move. Of course, there was a reason for offering more money. I can't forget how awful it was. I'd tried electrical cable pulling only once. It was just pulling a huge electrical cable, so it was a very simple task. However, it consumed a tremendous amount of stamina. I couldn't let the cable hit my wrist. Moreover, the cables were very thick and the weight was heavy. It was just pulling, but I would get blisters on my hands even while wearing gloves, and I would suffer from muscle aches for at least 2. It was an oasis in winter. I still remembered the nightmare from last winter. The other men present looked into the distance, whistled or went out to smoke. No one. The man asked again with an awkward expression. Then one of the middle-aged men pointed towards me. This young man can do it very well. Really? He is very active and has amazing stamina. Hasn't he done a lot of electrical cable pulling? An expert. These insane humans. I glared at them to stop, but the other men continued to recommend me. Then the person offering the job pointed to me. Excuse me. Young man. Shall we go together? You look very good. If I followed the atmosphere, today I would enter hell. I glanced towards the chief, but he just smiled. In the end, I raised my phone to my ear, like I had received an incoming call. Yes, this is Shin Young-woo. Ah, there was a spot. Yes, right away. Diririring. The default S Corporation's ringtone was heard from the phone at my ear. In the end, the other workers there laughed until tears emerged from their eyes. The employer also laughed. Then let's go. Who would call me this early in the morning? Moreover, I barely ever received phone calls. So, how did I receive a call at this exact timing? Then I belatedly saw the caller ID and hurriedly picked up the phone. It was an unforgettable voice. Hello, this is Mother's Heart is Happy Financial Services. Customer Shin Young-woo, you do know that the deadline is tomorrow, right? Already? If you have forgotten, does that mean there is no money? Oh, of course not. Yes, I understand. I will have the amount ready for tomorrow. Thank you, no, customer. Have a happy day. Mother's Heart is happy, hopes you will smile today. The call ended. This damn. I'd played games and ignored reality, forgetting that I was a debtor. I had to work hard to pay off the interest. It would be hard work, not easy work, that would get me out of this position. Excuse me. Will you really pay 110,000 won? Yes. Is it really true? Of course. You will never go hungry when working for me. I eventually left towards hell. That evening. Oh Appa. He stammered when she saw my exhausted self return home. I couldn't even take my shoes off before collapsing. Shit. The words were true, but, doing all that labor only to receive cream bread? There wasn't even milk. What type of people would give cream bread and no milk? Ugh. I have to play the game. Arrows, sold. I couldn't remember anything after that. It was because I fell asleep. When I woke up, I felt like I had been crushed by steel. My body was throbbing all over, and I barely managed to check the time. It was 5:20 a.m. Ugh. This was serious. It was late when I took into consideration the distance between my house and the labor office. I hurried to change into my work clothes while worrying about getting a good job. If I arrived late, then something like yesterday might happen again. I'm going. After I paid the interest for the loan, I would only have 9,221 in my hands. I needed to make money to pay the fee for the game in a week. As I put on my shoes without washing up, my mother approached and patted my shoulder. "Come eat breakfast." "I can't. I'm already late," I replied hurriedly. "Young Woo," my mother suddenly said my name in a serious voice. I cowered reflexively. It was obvious that her nagging would begin. My mother knew about my debts. She wondered why I was addicted to games and was saddened by my absence from school. She mourned that I had debts and was living in this situation. However, when I looked back, my mother's eyes were calm and welcoming. "Come eat," she said. "Why? I have to go to the office quickly." At that moment, the door opened, and my father appeared. My father sat at the table, opened the newspaper and said quietly, "Take a break today." "A break? What are you saying?" Cough, cough. My father just coughed and looked at the newspapers. My mother whispered in my ears, "You came back really exhausted yesterday. Your father was worried since he carried you to your bedroom. We are your mother and father. We don't want to see our son suffer. Didn't you suffer yesterday? You should rest for today." Mother, I was touched by the fact that my parents were still looking after me, despite all the disappointment I'd caused them in the past year. At that time, Sahi exited her room with a yawn and handed me something. It was a pain relief patch. "Paste it on. Didn't you go through a lot of trouble yesterday?" Sahi. "Ahh. What a beautiful family." I cried out as I embraced my mother and Sahi. I'd thought I was alone in this difficult world, but I had such warm family beside me. My family members were like angels to their disappointing son and brother. I was truly grateful to have this family. What? Who are you hugging? Oh, Appa's hug is good. Ah, no. Isn't it bad? Sahi grumbled quietly as she hugged me back, while my mother quietly stroked my head. After that, I took off my work clothes and sat at the table, feeling the taste of beef rib soup for the first time in months. "Father, then can you pay off my debt?" "Biak?" My father, who was eating quietly, gazed at me and threw his spoon. I shrieked as it hit me in the forehead, while my mother clicked her tongue and handed my father a new spoon. "Haven't I already told you? We want you to be self-reliant. You are already 26 years old. You should be responsible for your own actions." The atmosphere had been so full of harmony that I never imagined a spoon would fly over. As I rubbed my forehead, my father handed me an envelope. He said, "I will give you an allowance for today. You are resting today because of us, so I can't let you make a loss." Father, I was touched. My usually blunt father was taking care of me today. I would gladly accept the allowance. Then I grasped the number of bills in the envelope with my sharp fingertips, but the number seemed a little small. When I looked inside the envelope, I saw 7 bills. Feeling disappointed, I spoke carefully, "Father, the minimum payment for labor these days is at least 9. My father looked at me regretfully. "Huh, really? I'm sorry, but that is all the cash I have on me right now. Be satisfied with that." He was telling me not to ask for the missing amount later. I had forgotten, but my father was quite restrained when it came to spending money. If he bought a chicken, he thought that the family should eat it over 3 meals. I was forced to surrender at receiving an allowance of 70,001. At least he gave it in the first place. Chapter 21. After breakfast, my parents immediately headed towards the vegetable store that they ran. The two of them normally left at 5 a.m., so they were quite late today. They are late because of breakfast with their son. I suddenly felt that tsunami of emotions again as tears filled my eyes. It was the first time my stomach felt so full in a while. I sat on the couch and dozed off, before waking up because of Sahi. Sahi had changed into her school uniform and looked like a neat schoolgirl. She was my sister, but I had to admit that she was beautiful. What? Why are you looking at me like that? I'm glad to see you. You grew up well. What are you saying all of a sudden? Sahi flushed red before hitting my forearm. What? Did I do something wrong? But what is this cool feeling? I felt some relief in the area that Sahi had hit. It was like a massage. Good. Hit me more. More. Keep hitting. Kayak. Pervert. Slap. Why did she slap me all of a sudden? I placed a hand on my tingling cheek as Sahi shouted, I've filled up the tub with hot water. Then your body will feel better. This perverted appa. Yes. She was someone who got angry at me but always took care of me. But why am I a pervert? Sahi headed to school while I soaked in the hot water. My fatigue is going away. Then after a few moments, I exited the bathroom and paid the loan interest through a direct account transfer. It was hard to bear seeing the money from my blood and sweat disappear before my eyes. Ugh. This world is hell. I needed stability. So, I hurriedly entered the capsule and connected to Satisfy. How much have the arrows sold for? Geeing. The capsule's door closed, and my field of view slowly turned black. Then the familiar system voice and music entered my eyes, then my vision brightened again. The air is good. I appeared in a place which reminded me of a charming village in medieval Europe and immediately stated a command, status window. Level, 3, 75/500. Asterisk all equipment items can be worn unconditionally. However, there is a penalty depending on the rating of the item. Asterisk abnormal conditions don't work well for you. Health, 336/336 mana, 87/87. Strength, 24 plus 5 stamina, 22 agility, 16 intelligence, 29. Dexterity, 55 persistence, 21. Composure, 14 indomitable, 16 dignity, 14 insight, 14. Stat points, 60. Weight, 3,095/1,000. Level 3. Hoo, is that really the case? My stats had increased by making an epic rated item. Considering the 60 stat points which I hadn't used yet, I was actually around level 26. If I equipped Mammon's greatsword and Mengel's plate armor, I could demonstrate the combat power of a level 50. Is this the feeling of superiority that only a special person can feel? Hoo. In a square filled with people, I forgot the harshness of reality as I talked excitedly to myself. Then with one hand on my hip, I laughed like the protagonist of a movie. The women passing by sent me dirty looks and gossiped with each other. What is with that person? Striking such a strange pose and laughing while talking to himself. Is he on an ego trip? Perhaps he has the prince disease. He is ugly. He probably doesn't have a lover. Normally, I would be unhappy, but right now, I was so thrilled that I didn't care about the gazes of others. I ignored what they were saying and checked the experience of my various skills. Legendary Blacksmith's Craftsmanship Skill LV1, 3.7%. Legendary Blacksmith's Breath LV1, 2%. I'd thought it would take longer for the experience of these skills to rise. Is it thanks to making an epic item? I headed to the auction house with a light heart. As usual, the auction house was bustling with people. I wonder what the winning bid is. The price for one Jaffa arrow was 6 silver. However, the Jaffa arrows I'd made had an epic rating. I expected the price to be 3-4 times higher. In the case of general equipment items, it was reasonable to calculate that rare rated items would be 3 times more expensive than normal items, while epic items would be 7 times more expensive than normal items. However, I soon became worried. Would even a rich user want to spend so much money buying arrows? In the first place, consumables were cheap compared to equipment items. Yes, don't expect too much. I opened the auction window while thinking that I would be satisfied if they sold for double the price. Then, Kekiok. After confirming the bidding price of the Jaffa arrows, I couldn't shut my mouth. Meanwhile, I could hear the voices of the women looking at me. Isn't he that person laughing to himself in the square? Oh my! What is he doing now? His mouth has fallen open. Kayak. His saliva is dripping. Nasty. Ugly. He must have no lover. Arg. I tried to shut my mouth, but it wasn't easy. Special Jaffa arrow, 99 pieces. Bid price, 72 silver per piece. It sold for 12 times the price of ordinary Jaffa arrows. I touched the inventory with trembling hands, then I took out the calculator, which was a default item provided to all users. 99 times 72 equals 7,128. 100 silver was 1 gold. 7,128 silver meant 71 gold and 28 silver. For reference, 100 gold was worth around 120,000 won in cash. Didn't I create 100 arrows in around a day? It was approximately a day in game time. If I calculated it in real time, I'd earned around 84,000 won in less than 6 hours. Ha, ha ha ha. I was thrilled. Uncontrollable laughter emerged from my mouth. Puh ha 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 ha. That person has finally gone mad. Ugly. He definitely doesn't have a lover. His mother must be the only female contact in his phone. Cough, do their words have to be so sharp? No, I wouldn't be shaken by these females. Talk in your hearts. At this moment, I could still smile even while hearing such shameful words. I can see a definite way. Debt. I will pay it back in the game. There was no need to go find labor jobs. It was more profitable to make money from the items I create in the game. Indeed, Pygma's descendant was definitely a goose that lay golden eggs. I formed a fist and shivered, while the auctioneer at the counter handed me gold and silver coins. However, why was the amount of money lacking? Why are you only giving me 60 gold and 59 silver? The auction house manager smiled at my question. The amount is limited to 10 gold and 69 silver because of the sales commission. There is a 15% sales commission for epic rated items. Thank you for using our service. The commission fee was 8% for normal rated items and 10% for rare rated items. Compared to that, the sales commission for epic rated items was too expensive. How much is the commission fee for unique or legendary rated items? Suddenly, the auction house and mother's heart is happy seemed to overlap. Exploitation was the same in reality and in satisfy. Shit. I will become a successful person who exploits the weak. I would produce legendary items which weren't possible for anyone else except Pygma's descendant. The 2 billion users in Satisfy would be overwhelmed. But that is a story for the distant future. Ugh. Tears flowed as I thought about the 15% commission. This was because the day before, I hadn't been able to open a stall because I'd needed to go work, so I had decided to use the auction house. Once I got the money, I thought about whether I should take the carriage to Winston Village or not. I can stay here and make a lot of money with the Jaffa arrows, so do I really need to move villages? I was trying to move villages because I wanted to find a suitable hunting ground. However, I didn't need to cling to hunting and leveling up, when I could make a profit by making items. It would be good to just stay here and make items all the time. However, there was one thing I had to consider. It was the fact that Smith was gay. If I stay here alone with him. Just imagining it was terrible. I wasn't in a hurry to hunt now, but I would be more comfortable living in a village suitable for my level. In the end, I decided to move to Winston as planned and headed towards the carriages. Just like last time, I started negotiating the price while armed with the saddest stories. My ailing sister is waiting for me in Winston Village. Oh, no. Then I will leave 1 hour early. Climb into my carriage. But right now, I only have 7 gold. Oh, I thought you were a customer with a reservation. I'm sorry. My first bargaining attempt failed. My grandmother died the day before I was born, and her death anniversary is today. I needed to go to Winston Village right now, but I only have 7 gold and 50 silver. I want to help you because of your high reputation and your situation, but it is too much of a loss to visit Winston Village for 7 gold and 50 silver. I'm sorry. My second bargaining attempt failed. It was the same as humans constantly stepping on other humans. You should give me a choco pie, these people. You should realize that we are all the same. In the end, I failed to negotiate the price I wanted, but I got on the carriage that was the cheapest. Let's depart for Winston. It should be a quick and safe trip, considering the money I paid. And be friendly. You should show full hospitality. I will be very grateful if you didn't talk. Traveling always made people excited. The bumpy carriage ride and the unfriendly attitude of the coachman were bad, but my mood was good. Chapter 22. The carriage departed in the afternoon and arrived at Winston Village on the morning of the next day. Winston Village was unusually large for its name. 4 times larger and more active than Barren Village, Winston Village was comparable to the fortified city of Patreon. As I paid the coachman 8 gold and 90 silver, I asked for proper customer service from him. I have one question. Ask me. I will tell you what I can. Why isn't Winston called a city? Originally, it was a village smaller than Barren. However, there are many places suitable for beginner and intermediate level travelers nearby. As these places became famous, the number of visitors gradually increased. There is a rumor that it will be upgraded to a city in the near future if this trend continues. I heard that Earl Steam's heir will be sent as the new lord. It will be called a city by then. But I don't know exactly when that will be. Earl Steam? Where have I heard that name before? I was having a hard time remembering since I'd experienced so many things at all once. Well, it has nothing to do with me anyway. Now, shall I begin? I headed to the warehouse administration. After I informed the manager of the registration number and password to my warehouse, the administrator extended his hand. It meant to give him a tip. Damn it. I have to pay just to use the warehouse. I handed over 30 silver with trembling hands. The administrator checked the amount and started to chant a spell while drawing a small circle with a magic wand. Then a small warehouse was summoned before me using space and teleport magic. The warehouse was empty. I'd had sold all my Japtum in order to buy potions for Ashur's 3-month quest. Since its early days, I had played Satisfy for 1 year, but there was only dust in my warehouse now. Ugh, in reality and in the game. I opened my inventory with frustration. Rating, Epic. Weight, 1050. Rating, Rare. This is a work made by the blacksmith Mengel in the fortified city of Patreon. The defense is improved and the weight lowered. The wearer of this work can feel Mengel's strong willpower that remained behind. Weight, 1203. Intermediate potion, 34. This is a potion which has been formulated with 5 or more herbs. Restores 1500 health. The cooldown time is 20 seconds. Weight, 306. Advanced potion, 27. This is a potion that has been formulated with 10 or more herbs. Restores 4000 health. Weight, 324. Intermediate strength potion, 2. It is a potion prepared by blending a small amount of ogre's blood with different types of herbs. Increases your strength by 50 points for 5 minutes. There is no cooldown time. Weight, 62. Intermediate agility potion, 3. It is a potion prepared by blending a small amount of harpies blood with different types of herbs. Increases your agility by 50 points for 5 minutes. Weight, 90. Special Jaffa arrow, 1. An arrow made by a craftsman with great skills and potential but lacks experience and reputation. Weight, 0.1. Jaffa, 3. A metal obtained from smelting Jaffa ore. The hardness of the ore has such a weak strength that it is impossible to produce a powerful item with it. However, the properties will change when mixed with steel. Weight, 60. I wanted to ignore this reality, but this was the full contents of my inventory. So, I tried to put Mammon's greatsword and Mengel's plate armor into my inventory to reduce my possessions' weight. I haven't appraised Mammon's greatsword or Mengel's plate armor yet. The legendary blacksmith's appraisal skill revealed the hidden function of items. It was possible to use the appraisal skill on Mammon's greatsword or Mengel's plate armor, causing my understanding to rise. I didn't hesitate to use appraisal on the two items. You have grasped the materials that make up Mammon's greatsword, the production method and the intentions of its creator. Your understanding of Mammon's greatsword is now at 33%. You have grasped the materials that make up Mengel's plate armor, the production method, and the intentions of its creator. Your understanding of Mengel's plate armor is now at 65%. My current stats meant I didn't meet the conditions to use Mammon's greatsword and Mengel's plate armor. Due to the resulting penalty, Mammon's greatsword had a 30% drop in attack power while Mengel's plate armor had a 20% drop in defense. However, my understanding had now risen dramatically. Attack power of Mammon's greatsword will decrease by 20%. Only half of the option effects will be applied. Your understanding of Mammon's greatsword is high, so the penalties are reduced. Mengel's plate armor's defense will decrease by 8%. Only half of the option effects will be applied. Your understanding of Mengel's plate armor is high, so the penalties are reduced. HOH. As the understanding increased, the penalty decreased. Mammon's greatsword now had 143-240 attack and Mengel's plate armor had 152 defense. The options were still only half applied, but it was pleasing just having the penalties reduced. However, I wasn't unconditionally happy. I had a 100% understanding with the axe and pickaxe, but my understanding of Mammon's greatsword and Mengel's plate armor was too low. It was honestly disappointing. I would have preferred if it went up higher. Well, I didn't need to be too hasty. I could raise understanding by disassembling, repairing, and using the items, so it would be resolved over time. Let's try repairing it. Mammon's greatsword and Mengel's plate armor both had low durability currently. I could use the legendary blacksmith's repair skill to improve the understanding of these two items. A repair tool is needed. A separate repair tool is needed. What is a repair tool? Fuck. My money. 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 During my days as a warrior, I didn't have the repair skill, so I always had to repair items at an NPC blacksmith. Therefore, I didn't know. Something like a repair tool was needed. It's no wonder why the repairs were so expensive. I could postpone repairing the items until next time. However, this was a warehouse which I had wasted 30 silver to open. If I closed the warehouse and went to buy the repair tool, 30 silver would fly away. Ultimately, I shook off my fury and left Mammon's greatsword and Mengel's plate armor in the warehouse anyway. The equipment storage fee was 10 silver per item. This was a terrifying expenditure. The world is a thief. Spending 30 silver to open the warehouse and then 10 silver to place an item inside it. Mother's heart is happy, the auction house and the warehouse administrators, they were all crooks in my eyes. My 50 silver. My 50 silver. 50 silver was 601 in cash. That was enough to buy 200 milliliters of milk, which could relieve my thirst and make my bones sturdy at the same time. I stored the two items which weighed a considerable amount. Kyuuk. My hands shook. After glaring at the warehouse administrator who politely said farewell to me, I headed towards the square. There was a wide range of people in the square, from newbies who had just created their characters to users wearing level 100 equipment. People were moving around in order to adapt to the virtual reality. There were people looking for a party, buying or selling goods, sharing quests, beggars, couples, and people who simply enjoyed the landscape. All types of people were seen. I stood still and observed them. The beginner users were mainly using East Street, while the average level users were mainly using South Street. The West and North streets were favored by everyone, regardless of level. East Street contained NPCs who gave beginner quests and led to the most suitable hunting grounds for them. Meanwhile, the South had the suitable quests and hunting grounds for average level users. The West and North were areas which covered all levels, or basically, the area crowded with stores. The blacksmith is likely to be in the West or North. As I came to this conclusion while observing the people, a notification window popped up. Insight has increased by 1. The insight stat could be used to detect objects or predict risks. However, I hadn't seen its performance yet, so I didn't know if the stat was really useful. Well, any increase is good. I didn't feel much inspiration as I explored West Street and East Street. However, I then found a blacksmith on East Street. The exterior of the building was huge. It was a 2-story building, making it incomparable to the small smithy in Baron Village. Unlike Smith who worked alone in Baron Village, this smithy seemed like it would have dozens of blacksmiths working together. The leader of dozens of blacksmiths should be at least an intermediate level blacksmith. If so, he would recognize me and treat me favorably. Unlike Baron Village, I would learn how to make items in a good environment. I entered the smithy excitedly while imagining the energetic sound of hammering and the hot heat. However, the smithy I entered seemed bleak. I couldn't hear any hammering sounds, and there were no indications of any people about. What? I looked around in a confused manner and saw a pot-bellied man sleeping in a corner with an empty alcohol bottle beside him. I didn't know if he was sleeping or dead, so I approached him quietly and shook him awake. Hey. Hey. What? Fortunately, he wasn't dead. The pot-bellied man made an expression of annoyance and opened his eyes. Then he turned towards me and asked, "What did you come here for?" "I want to learn how to make the best-selling item in this village. Can I get your help?" The elderly man looked at me with a ridiculing expression. This place ended a long time ago. After the Marrow Company bought the blacksmith stores and commercial areas, they bulk sell items at a low price, so the customers turned away from this place. Yet you came here to learn how to make items. Are you sure you want to perish with me? Right at that moment, the smithy door opened, and a group of rough-looking people rushed in. "Hey, old man. You still haven't decided? Will you hand this building over to us?" Won't you be able to buy alcohol every day until you die? Then. What was it this time? I felt like I was caught up in another troublesome incident. Chapter 23. Hey, old man. You still haven't decided? Will you hand this building over to us? Then won't you be able to buy alcohol every day until you die? The men who entered the smithy were rough-looking and their physique was good. They reminded me of the employees from Mother's Heart is Happy. They took a heavy-handed attitude as they handed a sheet of paper to the elderly blacksmith. What's this? It was a contract to sell this building and the land to the Marrow Company. I instinctively realized it. If I analyze this based on my recent successes and troubles, it's likely that I'll get involved in a stupid quest as I stand here. That absolutely couldn't be allowed to happen. The urgent thing right now was to earn money by making items. There's no time to waste on unwanted quests. I admired my brain's quick thinking and moved to avoid this situation. But how many things ever went according to my will? I only managed to move a few steps before I was caught by the gangsters. Hey, where did this newbie come from? You trying to sneak into our business like a rat? They started to question me in an intimidating manner. Did you come to steal the contents of our contract? Are you a spy? Did the scanner company send you? Why did I get caught up in the contents of that piece of paper? This was really some useless curiosity. I should have just stayed in the rear and avoided looking at them. I shrugged as if to say spy, me. What are you talking about? It isn't like that, so don't worry about me. I just want to go my own way. But they continued to act tough. Gulp. Damn. My saliva dried up and sweat beaded up on my forehead. I remembered my low-level days in Satisfy. Was it due to the fearful memories of being a bread shuttle, or being threatened by teenage gangster NPCs in the back alleys? Or maybe it was because they resembled the employees from Mother's Heart is Happy Financial Services. I reflexively shrank back from the group. I couldn't cope with this. I should behave. Violent NPCs didn't fear the law. It was entirely possible to be severely injured or killed if I even so much as touched these guys. Of course, I could report the NPCs to the guards, but their fists were closer than the law was. It might be possible if I was stronger or quick enough to flee from this building. However, that wasn't the case, so it was better to avoid irritating them. Judging by their appearance and atmosphere, they aren't back alley bullies. They don't just smoke cigarettes and use bread shuttles. The Marrow Company was the second largest business company in the Eternal Kingdom. They wouldn't give jobs to losers. These assholes were all gangsters. Based on their equipment, they're at least level 35. Gangsters over level 35? How many people have they hurt and frightened in order to level up? I couldn't imagine all the sins that these people had committed. There are 5 of them. In contrast, I am only level 3. While my stats are superior compared to those of my level, they're all still around level 20. Not only that, I am alone as well. To make matters worse, I was unarmed. I would only lose if I got into a fight with them. Yes, let's act prudently and discard my pride. As soon as I organized my thoughts, I smiled as brightly as possible and explained, I'm not here to spy on you. I am just a customer passing by. So you don't have to be so vigilant. Hee. Acting subservient to NPCs. I felt no shame. The hand of the man holding my shoulder loosened slightly. Customer? At this smithy? HOH? A customer of the smithy. The grip of the man's hand on my shoulder strengthened again. Ouch, it hurts. I frowned due to the pain. Curse words almost popped out of my mouth, but I remained patient. Instead of scolding him, I tried my best to maintain my smile. Why? Otherwise, I might get hit. There was an old saying that you couldn't spit when there was a smile on the other person's face. The gangsters eyed me with suspicion. The street operated by the Marrow Company has a large number of weapons stores, so why would you come to a smithy like this? Isn't this strange? There might be many weapons stores, but this is the only smithy. I don't want to buy a weapon, but instead find a blacksmith for production-related work. Therefore, it was inevitable that I came here. Hee, I had no idea the smithy was troubled since I am new to Winston. I could debut as a lead actor right away and would be the perfect candidate for the new actor award at the end of year ceremonies. My appearance and tone were subservient. I continued to smile and the suspicious gangster released me. I somehow feel like hitting you, but you're a blacksmith as well? Indeed. You're so weak that you can't be a spy. Okay, get out of here. Don't think about coming here again. Did he want to hit me? Did I look poor and weak? These scum thought they could make fun of me just because of how I looked? The fury in my heart boiled over. However, be patient. Thank you for believing in me. I'll be going now. I was able to keep the smile until the last minute as I quickly headed out of the smithy. Then the old blacksmith's angry voice was heard. Behind me, yes, there's nothing to be gained from dragging this dirty work out too long. It is better to avoid such things. I'm too tired. Now. As I paused for a moment, the old man blinked his bloodshot eyes. It was to stop the tears from falling down. Give me that contract. I'll sign it as you wish. Eh? Really? Oh. Good thinking, old man. It took a long time, but you have finally made a wise decision. The gangsters cheered at the old man's words. It was like a festival. The one who seemed to be the leader handed the contract to the old man. All you have to do is sign. Then you can take it easy. The old man gazed at the contract and hesitated for a moment before reaching towards the contract with trembling hands. At that moment, tears fell from the old man's eyes. This is the end of my 7-generation family business. I won't be able to face my ancestors after death. The sight of the sad and depressed old man was unbearable. But the gangsters mocked him instead of comforting him. You abruptly stopped blacksmithing, so isn't it natural for the customers to turn away? And old man, didn't you have a child? Your only son died, so you turned to the bottles? You don't have a successor, so once you die, your family line will naturally be cut off. You were defending something that had no value. Didn't your debts just increase? Pathetic, truly pathetic. You don't mention my son with that vulgar mouth. Why the hell are you so loud? Do you want to be scolded like last time? The gangster called Johnson threatened to hit the old man. I was angry when I saw Johnson. Isn't that an old man? Not only did he speak rudely to the old man, but threatening to beat him up. At that moment, a gangster called spoke, look, the contract should be completed today. Then the one called Praga jumped in like an excited foal, no, I'm mad. Didn't we have to wait a few months for the old man to accept while that old man refused? Think about how much we suffered because of him. The gangster called Neil continued, I agree. Fuck, we couldn't even properly handle an old man. We received less pay on the scheduled date because of this. Then the silent leader, Vale, smiled coldly and said, that's right, you must compensate us for the damages we received. Vale slapped the old man's cheek and said, hey old man, once you receive the money for selling the smithy, half of it will be used to pay off your debt, while the other half will be handed to us. Isn't it obvious to compensate us for the damages you caused? You dog bastards. The old man, Khan, angrily replied to Vale. Hey, you don't have a wife or son to feed, so why do you need a large amount of money? You should help the poor, young people like me. My insides were boiling with anger. I don't respect senior citizens much, but when I used public transportation such as the bus or subway, I never yielded my seat to the elderly. I paid the same taxes, so I also had the right to enjoy the seat. No matter how burdensome their gazes were, I never gave way. But I didn't insult or tease the elderly, unlike these gangsters. I was really angry. Young pups treating grandmothers and grandfathers like this, it is terrible. So, should I help the old man, despite my low level? No, I don't have a sense of justice. Why should I help others? I couldn't think of any benefits. In my childhood, I was disgusted by superheroes instead of admiring them like everyone else. Why are they getting hurt trying to save others? Are they crazy? I couldn't understand the heroes who sacrificed themselves to defeat the villain. My young self cringed as I watched their unconditional sacrifice. So when the neighborhood kids played as heroes, I acted as the villain. Once I became the villain, I enjoyed the pleasure I got from harassing my friends who played the role of heroes. I showed sense by pretending to die at the end of the game, meaning the other children didn't feel any resentment. When I think about it, I have been like this since childhood. Yes, from the beginning, I closed my eyes whenever I saw injustice. So I turned away from the old man who was being humiliated and about to lose the business that had been in his family for 7 generations. Sure, some regrets remained. The situation has become like this, so it is impossible to make items in the smithy. If I want to move villages, I have to pay for that. Scamming expensive carriage again? Do I really have to move villages once more? No, there is no need to. I will just hunt and raise my level until the new owner of the smithy starts work. Wait. Don't I need equipment to hunt? This damn thing. I stored my sword and armor in the warehouse. My 50 silver. My stress levels weren't a joke. My stomach hurt when I thought about all the money that was flying away. Why was my life so twisted? Ugh. I'm getting a stomachache. I should leave here as soon as possible. But strangely, my feet didn't move. That old man, is this okay? Really? Fuck. Maybe it was because I witnessed the dirty work. No matter how much I dreamed about a life that was far from good, I still had the basic fundamentals of a human. It was too much for my conscience to ignore the old man surrounded by gangsters. No, why risk myself for someone else? Am I stupid? I was fully aware that I should turn a blind eye to this. So why was I hesitating? When did I become nosy? This behavior isn't like me. I've always closed my eyes to injustice. The moment I braced myself to leave the smithy. Your anger levels are at their peak after witnessing gangsters commit wrongdoings towards a blacksmith. The quest Blacksmith's Rage has been created. Chapter 24. Blacksmith's Rage. Difficulty, B. As Pygma's descendant, you have inherited Pygma's will as well as his techniques. You have Pygma's humanitarian ideology of using blacksmithing to benefit other people. You can never forgive the Marrow Company and its minions, who oppress the old and powerless blacksmith. Help the blacksmith Khan, who had fallen for the tricks of the Marrow Company and lost his customers. Quest clear conditions, get rid of the Marrow Company's minions and destroy the smithy transfer contract. Clear reward, Blacksmith Khan's alcoholic symptoms will improve. Affinity with Khan will reach the maximum. Khan was originally an excellent blacksmith. But after his business was ruined due to the tricks of the Marrow Company and he was subjected to severe stress, an alcohol dependency was created. He is currently an incompetent old man, but if he improves from his Alcoholism, he will surely regain his status as a great blacksmith. At that time, he will figure out your identity and help you greatly. Quest acceptance reward, the skill blacksmith's rage is created. Quest failure, a few days later, Khan will die and all quests related to him will be permanently destroyed. The blacksmith's ideology. Is this a parody of humanitarianism? The motto of the legendary blacksmith Pygma. Is there a hidden class that will appear after eating only garlic for 100 days? No, now wasn't the time to joke around. This situation is a quest. It was as I expected. A ruined smithy and blacksmith. The sudden appearance of gangsters was the precursor to the beginning of a new quest. Would you like to accept the quest? There were 5 enemies. Their level was estimated to be 35 or higher. On the other hand, I was alone and only level 3. I was also unharmed because I left my sword and armor in the warehouse. Should I refuse the quest? No. I accept. There was no reason for me to refuse this quest. Even though I was level 3, my stats made me equivalent to a level 20. I also had the skill legendary blacksmith's patience. It was a tremendous skill that increased my concentration, stamina, and defense to the peak for an hour. But was that all? I had the passive skill. That allowed me to become invincible for 5 seconds if my health was at the minimum. In fact, I'm not without a weapon. I opened my inventory. I took out one arrow that I had left behind as a souvenir. Arrows were consumables. But that was only when fired by a bow. If I hold it and use it as a dagger, it won't be a consumable. In fact, there were many cases when arrows were retrieved and reused. It was said that most arrows could be reused except when it was too damaged by the target, but I didn't know because I had no experience shooting the bow. I thought it was strange that arrows were so expensive, so I grabbed a passerby. Thanks to that, I realized that arrows weren't always consumables. Hoot, information was power. I shouldn't neglect the impact of gathering information in the future. I smiled with satisfaction and examined the gangsters closely. They were holding threatening weapons like axes, swords, and maces, while wearing leather armor. The heavens are helping me. It might be different if they were wearing iron armor. However, I could cause serious damage if I stabbed the leather armor several times. With the Jaffa arrow. This arrow is something I made with my heart. Its value couldn't be compared with normal arrows. I might have the attack power of a level 20, but I trust this arrow. Due to the option to ignore defense, I will be able to fill up the offensive gap. There is also the countless combat experiences I have accumulated in my days as a warrior. My stats that were higher than my level, a suitable weapon, a fraudulent skill and combat senses acquired from past experience. I believed that these 4 elements were enough to clear the quest. It is a very low possibility. Would I willingly accept a quest that was more likely to fail than succeed? It was obvious. First, there was no penalty if the quest failed. The NPC Khan would die and all quests associated with him permanently destroyed, but it wasn't something I should be afraid of since I didn't know what the quests were. Secondly, I was rewarded just by accepting the quest. Due to the quest acceptance, the skill Blacksmith's Rage has been acquired. The quest acceptance reward was different from the quest clear reward. It was a skill I received just by accepting the quest. Who would resist such a quest? I immediately opened the skills window to check the new skill. Increases attack power by 10% and attack speed by 30% for 20 seconds. Skill mana cost, 50. Skill cooldown time, 60 seconds. Amazing. Production-related classes such as blacksmiths were said to not be able to learn combat skills. However, now I have learned a combat buff just by accepting a blacksmith-related quest. Furthermore, its performance was enormous. Isn't this a lot better than the combat buff skills I learned as a warrior? The warrior buff skill that I used raised my attack power by 20% for a certain duration, and the cooldown time was 3 minutes. But the buff I just learned increased by attack power and attack speed, and the cooldown time was 1 minute. Isn't this a windfall? Kukuk. Oh, is this the hidden quest that I've heard about? However, isn't the quest difficulty too low for a hidden quest? Maybe it is likely to be a linked quest. The quests owned by Blacksmith Con are probably linked quests. This is a real hit. As soon as I realized the importance of Blacksmith Con, I had an obligation to do my best to clear the quest. Thanks to the new skill, the possibility of clearing the quest is even higher. Good. I decided to approach the gangsters. This guy? The gangsters tilted their heads as I came back instead of leaving. I pointed the arrow towards them. Then I explained to them the biggest reason why I accepted this quest. You crossed the line. I am also indifferent to elderly people, but not as much as you. You don't have to feel respect towards elderly people, but shouldn't you maintain the minimum of courtesies? You should take care of your education, you bastards. I can't forgive you. I wasn't trying to imitate the apostle of justice. I just didn't like people like these. Blame the fact that you look like mother's heart is happy employees. As I stepped closer, the gangsters started to grab their weapons. You bastard! This brat dares say such things to us? No, did something suddenly happen to this brat? Hey you! Do you want to go to hell? Huh. This bastard didn't appreciate the fact that we let you go. Indeed, lawless NPCs were fearsome. They instantly showed an intention to kill me. They were truly people who had committed numerous evils. They are too formidable. But there was no reason to avoid them due to fear. Right now, these people weren't the objects of fear. They are targets that must be defeated to clear the quest. The ambition of a warrior was boiling inside of me. I snorted with derision towards the gangsters and raised my hand. Stop your useless talking and come on. The gangsters reacted immediately. This crazy bastard. Get him. Hold on to him for me. No, kill him. Just kill him. The red-faced gangsters rushed towards me. There were a total of 5 opponents. In a wide open space, I would be surrounded and die. Instantly. I had identified the terrain of the smithy ahead of time and headed for the stairs leading towards the 2nd floor. The staircase was wide enough for 2 adult men to stand side by side. I stood in the middle of it with the arrow. Anyone who wants to be stung should come up here. The gangsters flinched when I took the geographical advantage, then belatedly confirmed the identity of the weapon in my hand. What is that? An arrow. Puhahaha. Do you want to deal with us with that arrow? Where is your bow? Did you drop it on your mother's skirt, newbie? Anyway, a blacksmith can't use a bow. They don't handle weapons very well. So it is no wonder he needs to swing an arrow. He is seriously young. These guys were belittling me. Among them, Johnson had the most vicious nature, so he rushed forward first. I will cut this blacksmith up like a bear. I faced Johnson, who had charged forward ignorantly like a wild boar, and used the skill I had just learned. Blacksmith's Rage. Blacksmith's Rage has been activated. Your attack power and attack speed will increase significantly for 20 seconds. At the top of the screen, a message with 20 seconds popped up. It was a notification window that showed the duration of the skill. I confirmed that the skill was successfully cast and quickly thrust out my arm. Paypa. It was quicker than Johnson could swing his axe. My arrow pierced his chest twice. Large weapons had the advantage of high damage and durability, but they had a fatal disadvantage of slow attack speed. On the other hand, my attack was quick due to the weightless arrow. In addition, I used Blacksmith's Rage and was able to overwhelm Johnson with speed. The effect of the special Jaffa arrow is activated, meaning the enemy's defense is completely ignored. Heok. It was only 2 attacks, but the full power was unleashed. One hit was a critical strike, while the other one ignored the defense due to the optional effect of the special Jaffa arrow. At this moment, I was sure that luck was following me. I never imagined that an arrow could deal damage like this. How? Johnson had a disbelieving expression on his face as the arrow pierced the leather armor. Then he coughed up blood and rolled down the stairs. He turned into a gray light and several messages popped up before my eyes. You have defeated Winston's outlaw, Johnson. Reputation in Winston Village has increased by 60. Your relationship with the Winston Outlaws has become hostile. The Winston Outlaws will try to kill you when they find you. 4,300 experience has been acquired. I expected the gangster to be at least level 35. As if to prove my guess right, I gained 5 levels just from Johnson's death. I defeated a level 35 enemy in just 2 hits. I couldn't believe it myself. Even if it was a critical hit and the enemy's defense was ignored, I never expected to do it in only 2 hits. These guys, do they have less health compared to their appearance? It was a good explanation. Considering their aggressive tendencies, it was likely that the gangsters had focused their stats on strength. Okay. I felt more hope that I could clear this quest. Status window. Level, 8, 125/1,400. Asterisk all equipment items can be worn unconditionally. However, there is a penalty depending on the rating of the item. Health, 316/316 mana, 87/87. Strength, 24 stamina, 22 agility, 16 intelligence, 29. Stat points, 110. Weight, 842/1,000. I gained 5 more levels, so now I had 110 stat points. This is the right timing to distribute my stat points. I didn't hesitate to invest all my stat points in strength and agility. You have invested 50 points in strength. Is this correct? Once the points are invested, it can't be reversed. Do you want to proceed? You have invested 60 points in agility. Is this correct? The warning statements popped up and my strength and agility greatly increased. The other gangsters were surprised to see their companion suddenly die and couldn't climb the stairs. What is that guy? How did he handle Johnson so easily? Johnson wasn't vigilant and allowed himself to be stabbed in the heart twice. Still, isn't that bastard's weapon just an arrow? It wasn't shot from a bow, but a hand-wielded arrow broke through leather armor and did such damage. Nonsense. It is impossible. This blacksmith must be so strong that he doesn't depend on weapons. Maybe he isn't a blacksmith in the first place. He is a warrior. I'm sure of this. What does that? Maybe he just looks weak. Don't just pay attention to the outward appearance. The gangsters watched me carefully. Blacksmith's rage only lasted 10 more seconds, so I provoked them. What are you doing? Aren't you attacking? Isn't it 4 of you against 1 of me? You third-rate, hulking gangster scum. Third-rate? What is this jerk seeing? Praga, wait. Despite the calls from his companions, the gangster called Praga fell for the taunt and rushed. This time, the weapon was a huge mace. The attack speed was very slow, just like Johnson who used the axe. Quajajok. He ran up the staircase and the mace aimed for my face. I avoided it as much as possible and pushed the arrow forward. Pa. My increased agility was immediately effective. This time, I was able to strike the arrow 3 times before the enemy could attack once. Ah! Praga was stabbed 3 times in the chest and retreated. Damn it. This time, there wasn't a critical hit. In addition, the optional effect of the special Jaffa arrow wasn't activated. Was that why? My attack power had increased thanks to the 50 points invested in strength, but Praga didn't die. Hey, are you okay? Kuoak, it isn't enough to kill me. I guess it was just a coincidence that he took care of Johnson in 2 hits. The attack power seems weaker than I expected. Little by little, the gangsters started to identify my strength. Then Vale explained to his men, the thing we need to watch out for now is his attack speed. He is overwhelmingly faster than us because we use large weapons, so fighting one-on-one is definitely a disadvantage. Then what? What should we do? It is simple. Vale winked and they stood as a group in front of the staircase. Then he spoke to me, who was standing alone on the staircase. I won't go up to grab you. You can't stay up there forever. Won't you eventually have to come down? Then I will kill you. Heok, they were quite smart. If they were monsters, they would move without thinking. My plan to take advantage of the terrain was all in vain. There are 4 people remaining. One of them is seriously injured, but he can still fight. Damn, no matter what method I think of, it is too dangerous to deal with them all at once. How can I clear this quest? I could be satisfied with the fact that I acquired a new skill through this quest. I was curious about the linked quests and rewards that would be received from Blacksmith Khan, but should I take the risk? It is wiser to forcibly quit the quest by running away, instead of dying. But my eyes looked somewhere else. I flinched the moment I met the eyes of the old man standing in the corner. Khan. Was it due to the expectations, hope, and gratitude in the eyes of the old man looking at me? It was like he was looking at a hero. Don't gaze at me with such eyes. I'm not a hero. I tried to ignore the old man's gaze. Then I stopped just before logging out. Just accepting the quest gave me a new skill. I am 100% certain that this is a hidden quest. The rewards of the linked quests received from that old man must be beyond imagination. Isn't it stupid to give up on a rare quest that I might not encounter again? Yes, I should try it. I headed down the stairs. I was immediately besieged by the gangsters waiting for me. My defense is close to 0. My health is also small. If I allow these guys to attack, I will be killed in 2 or 3 hits, even if they aren't fatal wounds. The important thing isn't to fight as quickly as possible. Carefully, carefully. I concentrated as much as possible, confirmed the cooldown time of Blacksmith's rage was over and used the skill again. Okay. Next. Legendary Blacksmith's patience. Nothing happens. The skill didn't activate? I was confused and hurriedly opened the skill window. Then I read the detailed explanation of the legendary Blacksmith's Patience skill. Legendary Blacksmith's Patience. Vitality, defense, and dexterity will rise by 200% for 1 hour. Asterisk this skill doesn't consume mana. Asterisk this skill can't be used intentionally. It was naturally be triggered if you continue to persevere. This damn thing. A conditional activation skill. I should have read the skill description. It is like not reading the fine print. As one of the factors that I believed in disappeared, the gangsters narrowed the distance with their weapons. Hey, are you ready to go to hell? I will make you pay for hurting and killing my companions. I was screwed. Chapter 25. Go to hell. Johnson's enemy. Buyuang. The explosive sound of the surrounding enemies attacking me was enough to cause pain and sweat to flow down. Kwang, Kwajajak. These were attacks with the power to break a wall with one blow. I was able to avoid the attacks a few times due to the slow speed and Simple trajectory, but I wondered how long I could maintain this concentration. Then the enemies started to use their heads. Attack at the same time. Ah! Different weapons simultaneously struck out from every direction. You have received 150 damage. You have received 163 damage. Erg. My health gauge reached the bottom with just 2 hits and had only 23 health left. Crazy. They weren't even critical hits. I pulled out a potion from my inventory and drank it. It was an intermediate health potion that restored 1500 health at once. My health is considerably less than 1500, but an intermediate potion is the lowest grade potion I have. It would have been nice if I had an inferior potion. The potion reuse time was 20 seconds, so I had to defend myself from attacks for at least 20 seconds. But now the enemies had started systematically linking their strikes. It became harder. We have been fighting together for 10 years. No matter what you try, you will eventually go to hell. I moved to the side in order to avoid the big sword that would take off my head, then an attack aimed for my knees, as if they had predicted my movements. My battle senses, developed from my days as a warrior, let out a warning. This was unavoidable. Kook. I aimed the arrow downwards. The special Jaffa arrow accurately hit the mace in an attempt to shift the orbit. But an arrow was a very lightweight weapon. It was impossible for a light weapon to shift the orbit of the large mace that weighed several kilograms. Kwayak. The mace hit half of my knee, dealing a critical blow. You have received 200 damage. Your left leg is severely damaged. Movement speed has decreased by 40%. The ability to control your body has decreased. As I groaned on the floor, a strike of lightning could be heard above me. If I stayed still, my skull would be caved in. Hup. I endured the pain and rolled back. Cock. The floor where I had been lying just a few seconds ago was smashed to pieces. I stared at the enemies and made a decision. I will act luxuriously today. I steeled my heart, pulling out the intermediate strength potion and intermediate agility potion. The price for one was 10 gold. 10 gold was 12,001. I'm sorry, but it can't be helped. I closed my eyes and poured 20 gold, in other words, 24,001, down my throat. Gulp gulp. I shed tears as the buff potion was swallowed. AHH. This potion is more expensive than the sweet and sour pork set. I prepared the buff potions for moments of crisis during Earl Ashur's quest, but I felt such regret that I never used them. Now they were being used to complete a B-grade quest, not a boss monster. You have taken the intermediate strength potion. Strength will increase by 50 for 5 minutes. You have taken the intermediate agility potion. Agility will increase by 50 for 5 minutes. There was a flood of attacks from 2 directions as the notification windows popped up. Son of a bitch. Don't think that we can't touch you while you are eating. I was able to avoid the 2 attacks due to my sharp rise in agility, then I gripped the arrow and fought back. But 2 attacks came from different directions and I was forced to give up. Pant are really horrible. I would have died if it wasn't for the intermediate agility potion. It felt like my heart would burst from the extreme tension, and the gangsters were filled with rage once their attacks were over. This rotten bastard. How long will you run away? Where is your momentum from your first attack? What a shameful brat. Fight fair. The 4 of them were ganging up on my lone self, yet they were complaining about fighting fairly. Hey, you fuckers have no conscience. Let's do it 1 against 1. Won't we still win in a one-on-one fight? Then bring it on. Bullshit. Don't you know that being able to fight in groups is a virtue? Quiruruk. The flail stretched out like a whip. Tatatang, tang. I hit it with the arrow and barely managed to spin my body. I felt a hot pain as a great sword scratched my side. You have received 30 damage. Fortunately, I succeeded in avoiding it. Once the crisis passed, I tried to continue the conversation to buy time for my potion reuse time to end. Hey guys, let's talk about it honestly. Shouldn't you know by now that I'm not a pushover? The gangsters didn't want to admit it, but they didn't refute my words. I made a suggestion: hand over the contract and then no one will die anymore. The gangsters were furious. Don't play games. You think you can get out of here alive after killing Johnson? Don't worry about the contract. You must die here. What? Is it hard to come forward? Won't you regret it? You guys really can leave here alive if you hand over the contract. Haha. Stop talking nonsense. A guy who broke his leg is spouting these words. From the very beginning, we could leave here alive. You are the only one who will die here. HRMM, will that really happen? During the conversation, the reuse time for my potions had reset. I turned away from the gangsters and sneakily drank the potion. At the same time, my health and the wound on my leg recovered. Now, the gangsters thought I was still seriously injured. I used that to sneak attack one of them. And no, they couldn't respond properly because they thought my leg was still injured. I pierced one person accurately with the arrow. Kiak. You have defeated Winston's outlaw, Neil. Good. The gangster stabbed in the belly couldn't even scream properly as he turned into gray light. The eyes of the gangsters shook as they lost another companion. You bastard. How did your leg suddenly become better? Don't tell me you drank a potion. Didn't you see me drinking it? You stupid bastard. You should fight with your own body. Bullshit. Can you really say that? You are gangsters trying to bully an innocent citizen. You kill that brat as soon as possible. He is like a cockroach, so keep attacking until he is dead. Isn't he just a druggie? I will crush him. The extremely angry Vale commanded his men. The you will die formation. It was the worst naming sense. In any case, the villains received Vale's command and unleashed a barrage of attacks. Chikak. Bam. The murder techniques that didn't consider defense ran rampant. Even if my arrow was aimed at their hearts, they didn't try to defend or avoid. They kept attacking and attacking. Even if my arrow stabbed them, they didn't stop attacking. I instantly found myself on the defensive. You have received 203 damage. You have received 180 damage. Kwaruruk, Buyuang. Kwang. Like a snake persistently following me on a blocked path, the great sword with a wide range of attack gave me a big crisis. Even if I avoided the mace, my balance would become off because the mace would break the ground or walls. There were 13 seconds left on my potion reuse time and my health was at the bottom. This is my limit. I can't endure any more. Unless the legendary Blacksmith's patience skill activated and my defense and health were strengthened, there was no way to overcome this crisis. The end. The moment I was about to give up on the quest, I suddenly had a thought. Why am I depending on potions and skills? Was I a warrior? No, I was Pygma's descendant. Where am I right now? A smithy. I'm so stupid. Why didn't I think of this earlier? I noticed the various weapons and armor displayed all over the room. A number of things popped into my head. Khan, the elder blacksmith standing in the corner, responded instantly to my call. Speak. I asked him, do you want to keep the smithy? Of course. I already gave up, but changed my mind thanks to you. If you help me, I will be able to keep this place. I liked the cool answer. Hey, what are you doing now? Why are you chatting with that old man instead of fighting? Are you thinking of some trick? Quack quack quang. The gangsters didn't stop the offensive. I avoided the attack and threw my arrow at the largest of them. Sweek. The quickly thrown special Jaffa arrow. Whether he sensed the crisis or if he was confident, Praga changed his attitude and started defending. Chang. Wah. A critical appeared the moment the arrow struck the mace, and its heavy power made Praga instantly back up. However, the other two gangsters didn't care and struck. I turned around and ran away from them. Kahahahaha. Stupid person. You threw away your weapon. The gangsters saw me running away unarmed and chased after me. Praga overcame the crisis of the flying arrow and sighed with relief. I never looked back at them. I ran forward with all my strength. Then I ran up the stairs and reached the second floor. There was a brilliantly shining full-plate armor and a super-large greatsword that was 3 m in length. I shouted toward Khan on the ground floor. Khan, lend me this equipment. But I will give them back at the end of the fight. If you want to keep your smithy, give me permission. Taking away the items without the owner's consent would label me a criminal. I waited for Khan's permission, but he paused in a frustrating manner. Not just anyone can use that equipment. It is better to lend you the leather armor and blacksmith hammer over here. That is the ideal equipment for you. No, just lend this to me. But that battle gear. Ki-ah-ha-ha. I've finally caught you. Die. Without realizing it, the enemies had neared me. Khan finally realized the urgency of the situation and nodded. Why yes. If you can use it, then feel free to. Good. You should have said it sooner. Due to your class characteristics, you have equipped Dane's Leaf, Reproduction. Attack power of Dane's Leaf, Reproduction, will decrease by 20%. Only half of the option effects will be applied. The penalties will be reduced if your understanding of Dane's Leaf, Reproduction, increases. Due to your class characteristics, you have equipped Valhalla. Defense of Valhalla will decrease by 20%. Only half of the option effects will be applied. The penalties will be reduced if your understanding of Valhalla increases. Chapter 26. I felt like a mountain after equipping the gold armor. With the giant sword in my hand, I felt brave enough to even cut at a dragon. The gangsters were swinging their weapons. There was no need for evasion. Quang. Quajajok. The enemy's damage has been neutralized. The enemy's attacks had a good momentum, but they couldn't even deal a small scratch to my armor. My body didn't feel any slight fluctuations. Rather, the weapons of the gangsters were damaged. What? What is this? The gangsters lived in the lawless world, so their warning instincts were unsurpassed. At this moment, the gangsters felt despair. This is ridiculous. I grinned in a devilish manner at the confused gangsters. Have you heard of the item effect? Drugs. Skill. I didn't need to rely on such things from the beginning. There were all types of battle gear piled up in the smithy, and as Pygma's descendant, I could use all of it. Clink. I grabbed the handle of the great sword with both hands and tightened my waist as much as possible before lifting it up with all of my strength. I didn't need to use any techniques. I used just the momentum of the great sword to wreak havoc to anything in its path. Sokok. There was a refreshing feeling in my chest as the sword cut through the enemies. With one strike, the bodies of the gangsters turned into gray light. You have defeated Winston's outlaw, Praga. You have defeated Winston's outlaw, You have defeated Winston's outlaw, Vale. Reputation in Winston Village has increased by 100. 6,600 experience has been acquired. Affinity with Khan has risen to the maximum. The tremendous rewarding sentences that kept appearing. I didn't take the time to enjoy the pleasure. This weapon and armor. I immediately used the legendary Blacksmith's appraisal skill. Dane's Leaf, reproduction. Rating, unique. Durability, 500/500 attack power, 451/635 attack speed, -8%. Asterisk additional damage equal to 10% of the target's current defense will be dealt. Asterisk the greater the number of enemies, the greater the damage. Asterisk the skill Golden Flash has been generated. A work created by Albertino, the first human to receive the nickname of craftsman before Pygma's era. He attempted to reproduce the mythical weapon, Dane's Leaf. While far lacking compared to the original Dane's Leaf, he succeeded in restoring some of its features, making it a masterpiece of its own. It was acclaimed as a masterpiece of human history by the founder of the Eternal Kingdom and King of the North, Lauren. The legendary blacksmith Pygma is said to have received great inspiration from Albertino's work. User restriction, level 250 or higher. More than 1800 strength. Advanced sword mastery. Weight, 1580. You still don't have enough knowledge and experience to understand the material, the production method, and the intentions of the maker of Dane's Leaf, reproduction. You have no understanding of Dane's Leaf, reproduction. Valhalla. Durability, 701/701 defense, 872 movement speed, -5%. Asterisk 20% increase in health recovery. Asterisk if health falls below 10%, a shield will be generated for 5 seconds that will absorb 3000 damage. Asterisk increases defense by 10% against cutting and stabbing attacks. Asterisk magic resistance plus 180. A work created by Albertino, the first human to receive the nickname of craftsman before Pygma's era. He aimed to create a walking fortress. User restrictions, level 250 or higher. More than 800 strength. More than 1000 stamina. Advanced heavy armor mastery. Weight, 1712. You still don't have enough knowledge and experience to understand the materials, the production method and the intentions of the maker of Valhalla. You have no understanding of Valhalla. Seekoff. What were these amazing things? How did such amazing items show up in the smith of a village like this? As the two items shocked me speechless, Khan came up to me and firmly grasped my shoulders. Then he asked me in a trembling voice, how can you use Dane's Leaf and Valhalla? I couldn't afford to answer Khan's question right now. Rather, I was the one with questions. Khan, why are such great items in a place like this? Where did you get this? How surprising. Khan freaked out after listening to my question. I was surprised because it seemed like Khan's eyes were going to pop out. Wow, this guy isn't a frog, so how can his eyes pop out like this? Khan's eyes popped out of their sockets as he shook me. Do you really know the value of these things? Isn't it great just by looking at it? The creator is the great Albertino. You figured out who the maker is? Perhaps you are. Khan's face and neck turned red. Then he wobbled like he would collapse. What? Why is he in this state? Is it high blood pressure? Did I save him, only for him to die of high blood pressure? No. I can't let that happen. Hey, old man. Calm down, calm down. You have to be careful. Kuoak. F foam. Hey. Old man, hey. What is this? Don't die. I succeeded the quest, right? Then why are you dying? If you have another quest, then give it to me. No, wait. If Khan died, then what would happen to Dane's Leaf and Valhalla? "Hey, old man. Are you well? Damn. You have to live. You must live." After returning Dainsleif and Valhalla to their original locations, I carried the old man to the clinic. The remote village of Winston. However, as the road was built and transportation developed, the village started to develop rapidly. There were hunting grounds of various levels everywhere, and Winston overflowed with high-quality specialty products and unique quests. These factors meant that its development was endless. Nowadays, many people came and went. In a survey of new users that a broadcasting station conducted, it was in the top 10 of new village where I want to start. People envied the residents of Winston after seeing the ever-evolving Winston. The land prices in Winston had increased by as much as 20 times, so it was expected that the residents would be rich. This was only an illusion for those who didn't know the truth. The reality was quite different. The lives of the Winston residents weren't better than ever. This was due to the Marrow Company. The Marrow Company had dominated the northern area of the Eternal Kingdom since a long time ago. Valmont, the leader of the Marrow Company, predicted the potential of Winston more quickly than anyone else. When it was still a remote village, he bought the land and commercial areas of Winston at a cheap price from the residents. Therefore, most of Winston's land and commercial areas were dominated by the Marrow Company. It hadn't officially been promoted to a city yet, but many of Winston's signboards had the name Marrow on it. On the other hand, the residents lost their jobs and suffered from poverty. The Marrow Company's monopoly of Winston. It was a big jackpot for the Marrow Company. It was possible to accumulate a huge amount of wealth. The Lord wouldn't do anything due to the higher taxes and bribes. Indeed, people must have insight. The owner of the Marrow Company, Valmont, was happy every day. Most of the profit from the village entered his pockets, so he enjoyed numerous luxuries. However, there was one thing that was raining on Valmont's mood: the existence of the smithy. According to the decree of the king, cities and villages could only legally have one smithy. It was one of the government's extreme measures to prevent local powers from building massive weapons and strengthening their military capabilities. Thus, there was one smithy in Winston, and the owner of that smithy was a blacksmith called Khan, not the Marrow Company. A business that was steady and gained a large amount of money, as a weapons business was rare. The Marrow Company offered Khan an astronomical amount to sell the smithy, but he refused, saying it had been in his family for 7 generations. It was no use even if Valmont used intimidation. Valmont had a headache. It was too regretful to give up on the smithy. So he thought hard and came up with an ingenious scheme to put pressure on Khan. Buy large quantities of quality weapons and farm equipment from the Taji blacksmiths. Then sell it to the Winston residents and travelers at a cheap price. The profit? There is no need to worry about that. Sell it cheaply. Due to Valmont's order, Khan's blacksmith store lost its competitiveness. The residents and travelers of Winston no longer went to Khan's smithy. The weapons sold at the Marrow Company were slightly lower in quality than those sold at Khan's smithy, but they were more diverse and cheaper, causing people to buy from the Marrow Company. In addition, Valmont planned one more thing. It was a plan to trick Khan by hiring an impostor. If you increase the scale of the smith, it will instill more confidence in the customers and business will be well again. I will lend you the money at a low interest rate, so invest your money and grow the scale of the smithy. Show the people of Winston and the Marrow Company that you will be successful. Khan foolishly believed the scammer. It was because the scammer was a longtime friend of Khan's. Without imagining that his friend had been bribed by Valmont, Khan borrowed money without checking the contract. As a result, the debt snowballed into an amount that he couldn't afford. Valmont loved the feeling of watching Khan collapse. Hoo, that smithy will be mine in the near future. The last thing Valmont did was hire a group of gangsters, and he waited, believing that the smithy would soon be handed over to him. But was Khan as stubborn as a bull? When he saw that Khan never let go of the smithy despite being cornered, an even greater rage boiled up inside Valmont. Where are they? I told those gangsters to be firmly prepared if they didn't handle it this time. He seriously warned them, so they were motivated to work harder. This time, the smithy would enter his hands. What? They're missing. Yes, that's right. Those damn bastards. Cha-cha-ching. Valmont overturned the table filled with delicacies at the unexpected report. Then he asked his closest subordinate, Rabbit. Who recommended those gangsters? Beale. Bring him here right now. After a few moments, Valmont quietly asked the trembling Beale, weren't you the ones who recommended those gangsters? You said I could believe in them. Then what is this? Not only have they not come back with Khan's smithy in the promised time period, but now they have run away. I even paid them in advance up front. How will you take responsibility for this? I am really sorry. They are the most notorious people in the neighborhood, so I recommended. I don't need your apology. Give it to me. Huh? What? Beale asked because he couldn't understand Valmont's meaning. Valmont was frustrated with Beale's confusion and spoke bluntly. You must be stupid if you don't understand while working for a merchant company. Money. Give me money. You are responsible for the advance given to them as well as compensation for the failed commission. Why yes. I don't have that much money. Please give me one more chance. Beale grabbed Valmont's clothing and begged. But Valmont was relentless. If you don't have money, then create it. Otherwise, I will sell you to the slave market. Then I will be compensated to some extent. Hoo. Master. Please, please. Remove this guy. Beale had been with Valmont for 10 years. He always worked hard, like a dog. But Valmont didn't tolerate even a single mistake. It was a cruel decision, but he didn't care about morals. Proud and cruel. Rabbit didn't like this about Valmont's nature. But he could earn big money if he worked under Valmont, so Rabbit never betrayed him. After Beale was dragged out, Rabbit was left alone with Valmont and opened his mouth. It is hard to believe that the gangsters hired by Beale would run away. They live here in Winston. They can't throw away their homes easily. Just for a little bit of money. If they didn't run away, then what is it? Were they hid by the old man? For now, it is most appropriate to think so. Until this morning, they visited Khan's smithy as normal. However, they were missing after that. It is certain that something happened in the smithy. Valmont asked after hearing the explanation. Where is Khan? He has also disappeared. This is ridiculous. What on earth happened in that smithy? We are investigating, so you will know soon. It was frustrating because he didn't know the exact circumstances. Valmont and Rabbit were coming up with various assumptions and guesses. I found Khan's location. An informant entered and reported. Around 2 hours ago, there was a witness who saw a strange young man carrying Khan on his back. Strange young man. He must be the culprit in this incident. Rabbit, I will leave the business of the smithy to you from now on. Take care of anyone who gets in your way. According to someone's evaluation of his personality, Valmont had talent as a merchant, but he was harsh and violent. How was he able to grow the Marrow Company to this extent? This was because he had Rabbit. Rabbit was a resourceful and skilled person who could cover Valmont's deficiencies. He suppressed his emotions and made calm judgments to produce the best results. Now a rabbit was about to have an encounter with grid. Chapter 27. Lululala. I naturally hummed a song, and as soon as I got out of the capsule, I sat on the toilet seat. Lolililililo. I then headed to the kitchen and drank cold water. La 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 la. I lay back on the couch and watched TV. The humming didn't stop, and laughter even started to emerge. I was so happy. Thanks to the hidden quest, I obtained a combat buff skill and cleared the quest safely, opening the path to a linked quest. I also gained a lot of levels in a short amount of time. I killed a few gangsters and got to level 21, isn't this a really big jackpot? Why is my luck so good these days? Hidden quests weren't easily obtained. This was the first time in my 1 year of playing Satisfy. Among the billions of people currently playing Satisfy, only a handful would have obtained a hidden quest. Many things had gone well since I became Pygma's descendant. It really was an incredible class. There was a reason for my misfortune. It was a divine revelation after years of enduring misfortune. Ahahahahad. What type of quest would Blacksmith Khan give me? And the reward? Maybe the enormous reward would be a unique item that I could use for a while. If so, I can become a billionaire. Quahahaha. The performance of Dane's Leaf and Valhalla was almost the same as the unique rated failure that I designed. However, since the usage conditions were very normal, it was possible to have an astronomical value when dealing with users. They are items that remind me of why failure is a failure. Albertino was a great blacksmith. He was probably the blacksmith who gave inspiration to Pygma. Such a great person wasn't a legendary blacksmith, while I stumbled across the legendary blacksmith class during a quest. Well, this is the world. I once again felt gratitude towards the legendary class that I obtained. I gazed at my watch with a yawn and saw that it had been 2 hours since I left the capsule. 8 hours have passed in the world of Satisfy. Won't Khan wake up soon? According to the doctor, Khan's health was severe to excessive drinking and stress. But if I followed the quest story, Khan would overcome the alcoholism and his health would be restored. So I didn't have to worry about it. I connected to Satisfy. Log in. My vision darkened before giving way to a warm light as I opened both eyes. This is the clinic. The last place I logged out of was the clinic where Khan was hospitalized. I immediately went to find the doctor called Simon. What is the old man's status? Simon smiled kindly. I thought it was dangerous because of the sudden increase in blood pressure in his weakened state. However, his condition is better than expected. He can soon be discharged from the hospital. God has blessed him. I'm glad to hear that. He will be healthier if he stays away from drinking in the future. I headed to Khan's room with Simon. After a while, Khan smiled as he saw me. Oh, welcome. I owe a lot to you. I responded with a smile. Those in difficult circumstances should help each other. Now, you can leave the hospital. You just need to pay for the treatment fee. Why wasn't Khan answering? I couldn't help feeling uncomfortable. Then Khan's words were like a lightning bolt from the clear sky. I'm sorry. I currently don't this. It was like a lightning bolt struck my mind. Don't tell me, you won't pay the bill. It isn't that I won't pay, but I can't. I don't have the money. Then what are you going to do? Does this clinic accept credit? I stared at Simon. His kind expression that had always been present was gone. Then Simon spoke with a very business-like expression. Credit isn't possible. I wanted to leave this old man alone, but then I wouldn't be able to get the quest. Damn it. My bad luck was waiting. Luck is truly the worst. I had to pay 1 gold for Khan's treatment cost. I was afraid to calculate how much I had spent today. Khan's smithy. Thank you once again. As soon as Khan arrived at his smithy, he turned to me and bowed 90 degrees, expressing his sincere gratitude. Fortunately, he had a conscience. He thanked the person who paid 1 gold for his medical bill. Thank you. Thank you very much. I was able to feel hope again because of you. I was able to maintain the business that has been in my family for 7 generations, that I almost lost due to my ignorance. I don't know how to repay you. Khan started crying. Unlike young people, elderly people really had a lot of tears. Old man. I grabbed Khan's rough hand. It was a common action that the main character of dramas would do. Isn't it natural to help a neighbor in trouble? This was nothing, old man. There is no need to feel sorry. I don't need anything in return for my help. Such unrealistic words would be spoken. But I wasn't a protagonist of a drama. I was a loser of the cruel, relentless modern society that was close to the natural laws of the Serengeti. I want a reward. If you really appreciate it, give me something. Come on. Yes, that's right. Of course, I have to pay you back. Your grace was too big, I don't know what type of reward to give you. I just noticed, was this old man really simple? Didn't he notice the words I use? I stayed focused. I couldn't think about anything else. Old man, you were almost robbed of the smithy by those gangsters. If you keep drinking, your health will worsen and you will eventually die. That's right. When you collapsed from high blood pressure, you could have died. Didn't you live because I took you to the clinic and paid for your treatment fee? Then aren't I the savior of your life? I spoke logically. To the savior of your life, you should give me a precious treasure equivalent to your life. Khan stopped crying and looked very sorry. A precious treasure equivalent to my life. I don't have such a thing. What should I do? Ugh. Don't look so sad. I am very nice, so I don't want treasures that are equivalent to your life. Over there, there. I pointed to the 2nd floor. With my finger. If you give me Dane's Leaf and Valhalla, that is enough of a reward. My heart was beating excitedly. It was because I was filled with expectation at receiving the items as a gift. But this was me. The world never went my way so easily. They are the heirlooms that have been passed down in my family for many generations. It is a treasure that my life can't be compared to. I will give my life to you, but I can't give you those items. It was a flat refusal. If he wasn't going to give it, why bother being so earnest? As a frown appeared on my face, Khan coughed with shame and explained. These are treasures that my ancestor, Albertino, dedicated his soul to. The treasures of his soul can't be handled by his descendant. I am obliged to keep these heirlooms until the day I die. But there's an exception. Khan was Albertino's descendant. He couldn't fake his blood. Did that mean he would display advanced blacksmith skills once his alcohol addiction was healed? And what was the exception? What is the exception? Khan's gaze became serious. There is something I want to ask you. How were you able to use the treasures? And how did you know its value at a glance? Khan explained. Dane's Leaf and Valhalla are unlucky battle gear. Their performance transcends imagination, but due to the usage requirements, it has been hundreds of years since an owner showed up. No hero could use them. It's been like that for the past few centuries. Due to that, they have disappeared in the history records. Now no one knows about their existence. Khan and I went upstairs. We stood facing Dane's Leaf and Valhalla. Khan touched them and beckoned. I am sad since I want the world to know the value of Dane's Leaf and Valhalla. So I placed it in this prominent place. But in order to fully understand such an extremely good work, the person needs the same level of insight as the creator. Despite having displayed it for decades, no one has understood its value. Khan faced me. Then you showed up here. The long story began. There is a legend that is passed down in my family. Around 130 years ago, a man called Pygma came here. He found Dane's leaf and Valhalla accumulated dust in a corner of the store. He saw it at first glance. The value of Dane's leaf and Valhalla. Khan's eyes flashed. Pygma admired the work of Dane's leaf and Valhalla. It is said that he showed off his swordsmanship wearing Dane's leaf, which has never been used by any hero. The beauty of it was unbelievable, and the swordsmanship seemed to pierce the sky, creating lightning. I was amazed. An absurd but exciting fairy tale. Did he read the interest in my eyes? Khan became more immersed in the story. My ancestor, who witnessed the swordsmanship, fell to his knees in front of Pygma and begged. Please take Dane's leaf and Valhalla. That would be what my ancestor wanted. Oh. It became bigger. So. Did Pygma agree? No. If Pygma agreed, then Dane's leaf and Valhalla wouldn't be here right now. This was Pygma's reply. These works are filled with Albatino's soul. I will refuse because they are so powerful, they shouldn't be wasted on a small bowl like myself. Pygma was obstinate. And my ancestor finally had to give up. I really didn't understand the man called Pygma. No, why would he refuse something that was free? I would accept and sell them. Ah, Pygma must have been a really rich person. So he wasn't greedy. My story continued while I was thinking this. Pygma said this before he left here. There are currently no heroes who can handle this armor. However, when the time comes, many heroes will emerge and all of them will be qualified to become masters of that armor. I interpreted Pygma's words. The many heroes he spoke of referred to the users. The growth of users was fast and infinite. There would soon be rankers who could use Dane's leaf and Valhalla. I don't want the items to be taken by them. I asked Khan straight away. So what is the reason for the lengthy explanation? Khan replied without hesitation. I want to know your identity. Do you think I am one of the heroes that Pygma talked about? That's right. Didn't I say there was an exception? If you can prove that you are the hero Pygma talked about, I am willing to give you Dane's leaf and Valhalla. There were strong expectations in Khan's eyes. I couldn't know. The link with an ancient quest was approaching. Chapter 28. I responded lightly. The heroes that Pygma mentioned. I'm probably different from them. Disappointment passed over Khan's face. This person had an urgent nature. Should I have some fun? To be honest, I'm more similar to Pygma than to those heroes. You are like Pygma? What does that? Ah. No way, are you? Khan belatedly realized that while the heroes that Pygma mentioned could use Dane's leaf and Valhalla, would they be able to recognize their value? It would be impossible to understand their value unless the person was a blacksmith on the same level as Albatino. However, I recognized their value. That meant dash. That's right. You see. I am Pygma's descendant. I proudly revealed my identity. I'm the one who can understand Dane's leaf and Valhalla better than anyone else, and I can even use them freely. Give me a chance to obtain them. Oh. Khan was extremely excited. It was natural for him to be excited. Just like his ancestor who faced Pygma 130 years ago, he now had the opportunity to be the one facing Pygma's descendant. I understand. If you are Pygma's descendant, I will definitely hand over the heirlooms to you. But is there any way you can prove that you are Pygma's descendant? The quest Pygma's descendant has been created. Pygma's descendant. Difficulty, class quest. You have certainly been given Pygma's blacksmith skills, but do you know exactly who Pygma is? Can you proudly and confidently carry out his will? Who is Pygma? If he were simply a blacksmith with good skills, his legend wouldn't be scattered across the continent. First, start with the clue of the swordsmanship that pierced the sky and follow Pygma's legend. If you can collect all of the legends, you will truly understand Pygma and be the successor to his will. At that moment, a new legend will be born. Asterisk, there is no time limit for this class quest. Asterisk, if you accept the class quest of a legendary class, you can't change your class again. Asterisk, the legendary class quest has the power to transform Satisfice world, according to the result. Class quest clear conditions, complete all linked quests successfully. Class quest clear reward, unknown. Asterisk, first class quest, Pygma's swordsmanship. It was said that the force of Pygma's swordsmanship pierced the sky. This may be a clue to Pygma's swordsmanship, which wasn't described in Pygma's rare book. Asterisk, first class quest clear condition, learn Pygma's swordsmanship. First class quest clear reward, Dane's Leaf, reproduction. Quest is in progress. I should have guessed due to being able to wear all equipment, but Pygma wasn't just a blacksmith. Then what? Is Pygma's descendant a class that isn't limited to just a blacksmith? What will I look like after completing all quests? A blacksmith and a warrior? Or, maybe more? I couldn't anticipate it yet. Perhaps, a new legend would be born. Good. I will look for Pygma's swordsmanship right now. I was about to leave the smithy with strong footsteps when I suddenly stopped. Where should I go? In addition, I am currently only level 21. Should I really leave on an adventure without making a plan? The ultimate goal of the class quest was to collect all of Pygma's legends scattered throughout the continent. In other words, didn't I need a level capable of venturing across the continent? It was impossible. This is a quest where I will need to take my time and proceed slowly. I want to finish the quest right now, but it can't be helped. My excitement became dull. Khan saw my disappointment and handed me a drink. It is late at night, so why don't you have a drink? There are many things I want to talk to you about. I want to talk about Pygma, the blacksmith techniques and the future of the smithy. Excuse me, shouldn't you stop drinking? Cough cough. I took the bottle from Khan's hand. Then I found all the other alcohol bottles hidden around the smithy. I will confiscate all of them. A class quest that I wouldn't know the reward until it was completed. Someday I would finally clear it, but I couldn't be rewarded if the client was dead. I had an obligation to make sure that Khan stopped drinking. Today I am happy, so just one bottle. You can't. I said firmly and placed all the bottles in my inventory. Okay. If I sell all of this liquor, I can get 2 gold. As I was pleased with the thought of earning money, the door of the smithy opened. A slim man entered. He looked at me while adjusting his glasses, then turned and greeted Khan politely. Are you Khan? It is nice to meet you. I am Rabbit, an employee of the Marrow Company. Marrow Company? The one who hired those gangsters? Doesn't he look too gentle? I watched silently. The nervous Khan warily watched the person called Rabbit. Rabbit opened his mouth with a mild expression. You owe 600 gold to the Marrow Company. But according to what I heard, you don't have the ability to pay off your debt. So you want me to hand you the smithy? Rabbit smiled. I want to give you an opportunity because I have a high opinion of your ability. Opportunity. Yes. Khan's blacksmithing skills are excellent, so I want to buy those skills. How about it? The Marrow Company will take ownership of this smithy, but we will transfer the operating rights to you. I promise a high salary. The Marrow Company was compromising. They would own the smithy, but they would let Khan run it. In other words, The marrow company will be the dog above me. Haha, you speak such rough words. And if I refuse? Rabbit's expression showed that he didn't understand. You refuse? Why? Aren't these conditions good compared to before? I'm not afraid of losing a job. I don't want to hand over the smithy, which has been in my family for generations. HRMM. Indeed. The glasses-wearing rabbit talked to himself while touching his chin. Then should I use armed force? No, it is a shame to use such a savage method. Can I sue the blacksmith for not paying his debt? No. There are several steps and it will take too long. Khan is stubborn, so what is the best way to persuade him? Mutter mutter. He was an unusual person who revealed his surface thoughts by speaking them aloud. He soon came up with an idea. Khan, I would like to see if you qualify to keep the smithy. How about it? Compete with the blacksmith the marrow company will hire. If you make something better than our blacksmith and win, I will admit that you are qualified to be the owner of the smithy. I will also reimburse your debt. But if you lose the game, you must admit that you aren't qualified and hand the smithy over to us. How about it? The conditions seemed good at first glance, but I thought that Khan should reject it. It was obvious that the opponent would be someone more skilled than Khan. In order for Khan to overcome this crisis, he had to inform the Lord that he was unfairly tricked by the marrow company and seek legal help. But Khan enthusiastically accepted Rabbit's proposal. I understand. Oh, good choice. Khan attached some conditions, however, I can't exert my old skills due to drinking and not working for a while. Is it possible for my successor to participate in the game instead of me? Rabbit's expression stiffened. I heard that you didn't have a successor. You are misinformed. Over there. He is my successor. HOH. I see. He looks too incompetent to be your successor. You want him to participate in the game? Are you certain? Do I look like I am someone who will joke around? Well, it is fine with me. Rather, I am grateful. What was going on? Why was Khan pointing at me? The quest item production game with the marrow company has been created. What is this? Khan must be crazy. He didn't ask my permission and just arbitrarily gave me a quest. Wasn't this too presumptuous? No, hey, Khan, huh? As I was about to express my resentment towards Khan, the quest window popped up. Item production game with the marrow company. Difficulty, A. The marrow company has asked Khan to compete in a blacksmith game. But Khan is in the worst condition. Khan decided that it was too hard for him to participate in the tournament, passing it on to you. Quest clear conditions, win in the game against the marrow company. Quest clear reward, plus 500 reputation in Winston. The affinity with the Winston residents will rise. 600 gold prize. Quest failure, reputation in Winston will fall to a minimum. Khan's smithy will belong to the marrow company. I cancelled my curses towards Khan. Look at the quest success rewards. 600 gold. A huge 600 gold. How much was 600 gold in cash? 100 gold was 120,001. 720,0001. 720,001 was a huge amount that could only be earned by doing labor tasks all day without resting, for 8 days. What was the failure penalty compared to the tremendous success rewards? There was still some damage, but Khan would be the one receiving most of it. I never thought there would be a day when this honey-like quest would come to me. Why would I refuse? I accept the quest. Rabbit asked with a surprised expression. HOH? Is your successor not avoiding it? He is surprisingly confident. What is so surprising? Look at my brave face. I clearly look confident, right? Hoot, that can either be good or poisonous. Okay. I will pass on the place and date that the game will take place in the near future. Then farewell until that day. Then Rabbit left. Khan knelt in front of me. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Doing this without consulting you. But it couldn't be helped. I want to keep the smithy. I pulled Khan up. Then I embraced him tightly. Why are you sorry? Don't be bothered. Is there a need to be sorry considering our relationship? I will help you. So don't worry. Thank you. Thank you very much. I wonder if there is another angel like you? Sob sob. Khan's tears soaked my clothes. I would like to ask for laundry money, but I didn't need to go that far. It was thanks to Khan that I had the opportunity to earn 720,000 won. Kukukuk, kahahahaha. Winston. Blessed land. You are so lovely. Chapter 29. The item production game with the Marrow Company. This quest was at a rank difficulty. In other words, it was classified as a high difficulty quest. Common sense stated that it was impossible for a level 21 user to clear an A-grade quest. Was I going to fail this quest? Why did I accept such a hard quest? It was natural, I accepted the quest because I thought I could clear it. If this quest were related to combat or adventuring, I wouldn't have much confidence. No, I would have turned down the quest in the first place. I wouldn't be able to clear it at my current level, even if I was a legendary class. But the item production game with the Marrow Company required crafting an item to win. A quest that would succeed if I made an item better than the blacksmith hired by the Marrow Company. I am the legendary blacksmith who has produced an epic arrow. I can win, even if the Marrow Company hires an advanced level blacksmith. Kukuk, this is the quest for me. No, it's an event. As moonlight seeped in through the window, I smiled and spoke a splendid monologue, like a character from a manhwa. Khan returned from picking up the item-making tools in the warehouse and trembled at the sight of me. Did you eat something bad at dinner? You look sick, are you okay? Do you need medicine? No, I will bring you to the doctor right now. Where do I look sick? Khan didn't seem to have a sense of aesthetics. Tisk tisk, a blacksmith is a type of artist. The works made by Khan were obviously inferior in appearance and performance. As I felt certain of this, Khan brought out a beautiful sword and helmet. These are the pieces I made. What do you think? Isn't it okay? I was famous for making really beautiful pieces during my prime. My aesthetic sense has always been admired by artists. Haha. This old man, was he reading my thoughts? As I gazed at the sword and helmet, Khan laid out various production tools. As you can see, the tools are properly stocked. There are various metals, ores, and logs of wood piled up in the warehouses. There are a lot of materials, but I haven't done any business in the past months. But the result is good. You can use these materials during your training. Khan smiled bitterly, so I couldn't help asking him a question. The Marrow Company tried to put you into debt and hired gangsters to interfere in your sales. They also threatened and assaulted you. Why didn't you ask for help from the Lord or guards? Why stay quiet? Khan sighed. I have filed a complaint with the guard captain several times and appealed to the Lord. I wanted the guards to protect me and for the Lord to stop this injustice, but they didn't even look at me. My requests were ignored. I guess it was the work of the Marrow Company. Right. The Marrow Company is one of the largest and richest companies in the north. The Lord and guards have already received bribes from the Marrow Company. It isn't just me. Many other Winston residents were hurt by the Marrow Company and thrown onto the streets, but The Lord didn't lift a single finger to help them. In the end, money was the best. Once again, I realized the greatness of money and vowed that I would be rich. By the way, doesn't Winston belong to Earlsteam? That's right. Why don't you and the residents go to Earlsteam and accuse Winston's lord? Then Earlsteam will punish. No, you don't think that the hands of the Marrow Company have reached Earlsteam? Khan shook his head. It doesn't seem like it. We've tried many times to meet Earlsteam, however, the Lord noticed and prevented us from leaving Winston. Every time. Even if we raise an appeal, it won't be passed on to Earlsteam. The Lord wouldn't go so far to stop us if the Earl is on his side. There isn't anyone monitoring this place. The inspectors have been bought by the Lord a long time ago. Yes, in the end, money was the best. I accepted it and stood up. Then I lit the furnace and comforted Khan. Don't worry. Now you have me. I will give the people of the Marrow Company a flat nose. Do you trust me? Can you trust me and leave this part to me? Of course I trust you. Pygma's descendant can win no matter what. Blacksmith is your opponent. Grid, you really are dependable. If my son was alive, he would be a similar age to you. That child would have been a good young man like you. Sob. Khan was an old man with a lot of tears. But that didn't seem to be the main issue. It meant he was a man with a lot of scars. Poor man. What? Why was I feeling such sentiment? Strangely, my mind weakened when I saw Khan. Was Pygma's ideology implanted in me without knowing after I became his descendant? Khan has a great affinity with me, but I don't know why I'm feeling like this. I saw Khan slyly looking for a drink and sat down next to him. Old man, watch my work all night. Then you will soon forget about your drinking. You will be filled with the desire to be a blacksmith. Again. Is that so? Ack. What was this? Why did I smile gently when I looked at the old man? As I started into the fire of the furnace, I remembered an old memory I had forgotten. When I was in elementary school, I was able to feel great happiness when I visited my grandfather's house during the holidays. I always felt better due to the warm love I received from my grandfather and grandmother. I see. Khan's atmosphere and way of talking resembled my grandfather. Have a cup of tea. It is tea made of boiled lunal leaves, and the fragrance is very good. Well, it isn't bad. I would rather receive money, but... Huh? What did you say? The noise is so loud that I can't hear you. You can't hear me. I can't hear what you are saying. Indeed, you are skilled. The moment of sharing tea and hammering iron with a person I liked. My heart grew heavy. This was the first time I felt a precious moment in satisfy. But you, how come your hammering form is like that? Was I mistaken because my expectations were too great? No. It's not like that. It should look like this. No, you have to narrow your elbows a bit more. Are you really the descendant of Pygma? Tell me. Honestly. Why you're not a scam artist, are you? Are you someone from the Marrow Company? I was crazy to accept Rabbit's offer. This old man. Be quiet. Can you see my skills so quickly? Just leave me alone a little bit. Why are you taking the hammer? I judged your skills too quickly? This is too strange. Pygma's descendant should have mastered this. A fraud? A crook. You, annoying. The night deepened. But I didn't rest. I was in my peak condition. I should use this to improve my technical skills. I improved my skills throughout the night, and Khan no longer called me a scammer. Then the next day, the training began in earnest. Khan saw my work and forgot about drinking, revealing his 60 years experience as a blacksmith. He helped me using the skills and knowledge that he accumulated. The thing to consider when making armor isn't durability. The first thing is to design armor that will allow the wearer to move freely. I examined armor and made it. Aha! The strength and weaknesses aren't aligned properly. Why is only this part calibrated? You need to focus. You aren't a 3-year dash old child, so why are you becoming so distracted? I was scolded. Amazing, amazing. Why is it so different as soon as you start concentrating? Your talent is endless. Then I was praised after the scolding. There are some stupid seeds who stop when they think it is good enough. Their logic is that they are pushed for time, so they might as well take forging out of the question. But they are mistaken. Forging is not a minor task. If forging is omitted, the meaning of quenching and tempering will fade. If you're lacking in time, then you should omit quenching instead of forging. There were deep teachings. I agree with you. In the first place, does it make sense to skip processes just because of lacking time? Then an imperfect item will be made. No matter how much time it takes, I will try to make perfect things. Oh, a respectable craftsman. As expected of Pygma's descendant, having such noble ideas at a young age. It isn't a big deal. I just want to make perfect stuff to sell at a more expensive. Ha ha ha. Modesty is also a great virtue in a young man. You are respectable. Grid. It is the luck of a lifetime that I met you. He misunderstood my comments. Either way, it was a happy time. I woke up before the alarm clock rang. I looked through the curtain and saw that outside was still dark. I checked the time. It is only 4 a.m. It was too early. I could afford to close my eyes for at least 30 more minutes. My usual self would grumble about waking up early before going back to bed. But today was different. It is a refreshing morning. I felt good. The day before, I spent 2 nights of satisfied time and polished my blacksmithing skills. I created 3 pieces of armor and 2 swords, with 2 of the items having a rare rating. Thanks to that, all my stats rose by +4, the experience of my legendary blacksmith's craftsmanship skill was close to 20% and the experience of the legendary blacksmith's breath skill rose by nearly 8%. My concentration and sophistication improved, greatly increasing the speed of production. Khan really helped a lot. He was different from Smith in Barren Village. Khan still hasn't returned to his peak condition, but the difference between a low-level blacksmith and advanced-level blacksmith is like the difference between the sky and the earth. I wanted to see Khan. I would be taught by him while making items. Growth was another attraction of leveling up. Heok. I wanted to see him as soon as I woke up in the morning. Am I overdoing it? Sniff. Let's go shower. I headed straight to the bathroom. After a refreshing wash in hot water, I exited to see my mother preparing breakfast. Good morning. Young Woo, you rested yesterday. Has your fatigue improved? Why are you awake so early? This is the power of beef rib soup. It is the effect of eating something good. My physical condition great. So I should eat some grilled eel. Why does a person with no girlfriend need to eat eel? The words were spoken by my father, who was reading his newspaper in the room. I puffed up. Are you ignoring me because I don't have a girlfriend? There are many places where it will have an effect. No, who says I don't have a girlfriend? What? Ho 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 ho. My mother grabbed her belly and started to laugh. She laughed so much that tears appeared. Part 3 of the series ends here. If you enjoyed it, please give us a like and subscribe so we can be motivated to make even better videos in the future.